Human beings are natural goal-seeking mechanisms. During the pursuit of education, we might have thought about some goals, and those goals might have taken shape automatically. And some goals might have been insisted by somebody else. Some goals might have been inspired, or might have been attracted from somebody else. Or some goals might have been forced to be instilled into the mind. And many people might have asked you to think about this line, consider about this particular field. Why don't you think that you will be a successful person in that? Goals can be insisted into a mind of a person, but the progress of the goal is entirely dependent upon the person's efforts towards that. What do you think about the goal that you are having right now in your life? Maybe the occupation that you have, or the college that you are going to acquire education, the business that you are pursuing now. Are they in accordance with the goal that you had set in the previous days of your life? Goals can be insisted, it can be even forced, it can be inspired. But the problem today, as far as goal setting is concerned, is if individuals are really forging towards goal setting or goal getting. It requires a lot of efforts from your side for converting this goal setting process into goal getting process. So I thought I could give you some guidelines to make your goals as a realistic ones. Forget about the past, forget about all the kinds of negative experiences you might have faced because of your destiny, because of your fate, or whatever you call. Forget about all that. Let us start afresh. This 20-25 minutes video is going to give you lots of insights about how this goal setting process can be converted to goal getting process. As I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, we human beings are naturally goal seeking mechanisms. Every single person has got his or her own tendency to set a goal and achieve it. When you don't have a goal, it means something is wrong in your internal system. When you have a goal and when you try to take some efforts towards accomplishing the goal and you did not manage to complete the goal, then again something is wrong in you. And if you give up the goal, again something is wrong in you. So what should we do in terms of goal setting? If you already have a goal, maybe you can use these guidelines for making some correction in the process. If you don't have a goal, it's a golden opportunity to think about that angle and create a goal for yourself. So goals is the word goals is a very ordinary word. It's a kind of a mythology for so many people. But to me, when I mention the word goal, something jolts me, something vibrates me. Okay, so the blood is getting a little bit boiled, and the blood gets a little bit, the adrenaline gets a little bit faster. Because whenever I mention the word goal, my mind comes and says that what are you going to do towards the goal today? What is the step that you are going to take towards that goal today? Today is a very big subject matter. It is a very big timeline. So what are you going to do for your goal today? If you are preparing yourself for a competition or a function, every single day you try to do something. I mean, if you are going towards a celebration, we are forcing ourselves, and we try to put on all the logistics arrangements on the upfront, and we do plenty of things. When we have a big festival coming up, a Diwali or a Christmas or a Ramzan that are coming up, 10 days before the festival, we start making the readiness and preparedness about that festival. In order to have the festival properly, in order to have the fulfillment that we enjoyed and we celebrated the festival so vividly, like never before. So we have these readiness tips for everything, but as far as the goal is concerned, which is more important than anything else in life, how is the level of preparedness that we have? That's the million-dollar question. So many youngsters are not able to do properly in their goal system because they don't have any sort of preparedness about the goal. So let me show you a chart first of all. Look into this chart. This chart is called as a simple goals chart. And you are seeing three columns here: short range, intermediate, and long range. And you are seeing the goals in the left hand side. It starts with your physical goal and then it ends up with spiritual goal. So what is your preparedness about these goals? Have you ever thought about these goals? So in my opinion, you have to think and you have to really worry about preparing a goal chart for yourself in this moment. So I want you to work thoroughly on this particular chart. All the goals that you are seeing in this chart are for your focus. They are for your taking. You need to think about your physical goal. You need to think about your professional goal, the mental goal, the financial goal, the community goal, the social goal and spiritual goal. These are all the 7 primary areas of your goal setting. We did not have our education system thinking, talking and elucidating about all these 7 goal setting regions in our life. But we can take it as a measure. So ultimately, when an youngster is thinking more about these 4 goals, that is the community goals, social goals, professional goals and the mental goals. If a person is focusing on these 4 goals, and if the person is very much ready to think and contemplate, to plan on these 4 areas, I think the person is taking a very nice step. And in all these 4 sections, you have to think on these 3 areas. Your mental, short range, immediate and long range goal. Your professional, short range, intermediate and long range goal. Your community, short range, intermediate and long range goal. And social, short range, intermediate and long range goal. If you are focusing on these 4 goals, your spiritual goal is automatically at its place. The financial goal will automatically be on your direction. And most importantly, the next goal that you need to focus upon is your physical goal. So you keep your physical goal always at the upright and the upfront, and you take care of your health. And then you keep your mental goal and keep your emotions on the right regard. You keep your mental and professional goals on the right state. I think your life vehicle is traveling on the right direction. So think about this. So after watching this video, I want you to take a journal. Journal writing is a necessary attribute to think whenever we have a goal setting discussion going on. A journal is something like this. A leather bound journal or anything of your choice and taste. And it has to be used for recording the process of the goal, the progress of the goal and the learning that you have got out of the goal. So this is my journal and I use this journal for recording all the things as far as my goals are concerned. I use this journal for recording 5 things. Number 1, I record in the journal is about my goals. I write plenty of things about my goals. My periodic goals. I at least write 2 statements or 5 statements about my goals every single day in this journal. Number 2, ideas and insights. I will have bursts of ideas and imagination at any point of time. You don't even know. As Earl Nightingale used to mention, ideas are like wet fish. If you don't capture, they will run away from your hands and they will fall back into the pond. So ideas have to be captured. So whenever I have an idea, I immediately record that into this journal. Third one I record in the journal is knowledge and observations. You watch a movie, you watch a particular guest lecturer or a keynote speaker speaking onto the stage. You gather some information from him. You immediately record that in the journal. So knowledge and observation. You learn a new insight. You learn a new skill. You learn a new word in any language for that matter. You have the meaning of the word. Put that into the journal. Okay, right? The 4th and most important attribute I record in the journal is my tiny accomplishments and even major accomplishments. Like I do a program today in a certain college and I feel so fulfilled after the completion of the program. I immediately make a point to write that into the journal. So accomplishments and successes. And 5th and final thing that I record in the journal is the action plans, the strategies for finishing my goal or for accomplishing my goal. So once again, to make the long story short, journal writing has to be made as a unique art in your life. The first thing is your goal statements. Second thing is ideas and insights. Third thing is knowledge and observation. Fourth thing is the accomplishments and successes, in order to feel better and emotionally strong when you read those passages back again. And the 5th and final thing is your action plans and strategies for completing a particular task or a goal or a target. So you have to make the journal handy every single time whenever you are thinking about the goal. So we were just speaking about writing about these four goals, and I want you to make use of journal writing for that four goals.
The first step in the Blue Bridge is to have a defined purpose. Let me make clear about the defined purpose. If you take Ratan Tata, chairman of Tata Group of Companies, his vision is to rule the market with all kinds of products that help customers to live their life to the fullest. From salt to pumps, from steels to motors, from minerals to mines, Tata has all the conglomerate products into the market. If Tata's purpose and vision was to fulfill all the customers' fulfillment, then what is your defined purpose? Think about it. It doesn't mean that only Ratan Tata should have the defined purpose. You can also have it. So, I need a job. I want to be a businessman. I want to serve the society. Please don't say such vague statements. Those are not defined purpose. Tell me what you clearly want to do, be, give, and have. Yes, your defined purpose is the combination of what you want to do, be, give, and have. What you want to do in life, what you want to be in life, what you want to give to the others in life, and what you want to have in life. Take Charlie Chaplin, for example, the legendary comedian. See, Charlie Chaplin acted humorous documentaries. That was the thing that he wanted to do. He always called himself as a man who revolutionized the world with humor. That was Charlie Chaplin, what he was. He was a humor-oriented person, so that was his B segment. He gave entertainment and smile to the world. So that was his give segment. And is renowned and remembered by the whole world for his innocence and plain comedian actions. That is the thing that they have. That he has. Look at that. What Charlie Chaplin did, the do humorous documentaries. What Charlie Chaplin be, he was a humorous person. What he gave smile to the world. And what he had, the have section, the innocence and plain comedy in actions, it was remembered by the whole world. So what are you going to do, be, give, and have? Well, if you decide for those four questions, that would be your defined purpose. I also want to take a look at the following picture. It is called the ultimate goals sheet. Look at the goal sheet. Physical, family, financial, professional, community, mental, social, and spiritual. Your defined purpose should reflect the following attributes out of this goal sheet. In my opinion, an youngster's defined purpose has to touch upon the following factors: social factors, community factors, professional factors, mental factors, and spiritual factors. See, when the defined purpose that you have decided holds the aforesaid ingredients, the other factors like physical, family, and financial will automatically take care of themselves. So, what we got to do is, my dear friends, we need to prepare a goal sheet for us now so as to arrive at a proper, determined, defined purpose. We youngsters today are more attracted towards financial, professional, and family-oriented goals, which would cause more pain and havoc. Well, real self-discovery in a man's mind happens only when he or she puts social, community, and spiritual factors as priorities. So think about this. It's not going to be immediately easy to apply all this. You got to read these passages. You need to review these pictures, and you need to listen to this voice tape for multiple number of times. Definitely more than once, and should try applying them in life.
And did you look into the column? Short range, intermediate, long range. The things that you can complete in 1 or 2 years is short range. The things that you plan for completing in 5 or 6 years, that's intermediate. The things that you plan for completing beyond 10 years and 15 years, that's long range. So I want you to take your journal and write short range, intermediate, and long range plans for all the goals that I mentioned before. And that process, my dear friends, will take at least 20-25 minutes. And that's so essential for making your goals coming closer to you and attract to you like a magnet. So think about this. Take these 7 goals in the chart and take these 3 columns, short range, intermediate, and long range, and work on them. Try to fill this chart that you are seeing on the slide right now. Out of these 7 goals, concentrate more upon these 4 goals: social, community, professional, and mental. Of course, keep physical as the 5th one. Alright? And the other 2 goals will automatically take care of themselves if you are working on these 5 areas. Physical goal, I need not tell you to have that as a specific goal. You are already doing that. I know that you are very strong people. You are really having the awareness about your health and awareness about the importance of keeping your body and mind on a proper coordinated level. But these 4 goals are easily ignored ones. Exclusively the professional and mental goals are easily ignored. So let me give you an exercise at the end of this section of the video. Take your journal and write down short range, intermediate and long range physical goal and professional goal. Short range, intermediate and long range mental goal and social goal. So take a piece of paper, write that, or take a journal, write that, and see where you actually stand. You must do this particular assignment. So what is the next step after writing this goals chart? I really appreciate you for taking this exercise very seriously and writing down your goals chart. And now, after this, the preparation is over. Execution is about to take place. There is something called as execution gap. Execution gap is nothing but the gap between your thinking and the level of hesitation you have for taking this effort, for manipulating and for materializing all the thinking. So many youngsters are miserably failing in goal getting process because of the execution gap. So the second phase of this video is a very simple one. When you have a problem in terms of executing whatever you have written as your goal statement, you have your short range, intermediate and long range goals in all the 4 sections. Write down the massive action plans for achieving your goal. You have the goal right now identified and triggered out. Now you need the massive action plan for achieving those goals. So what are going to be your massive action plans for achieving those goals? Map, massive action plan. So this map is going to be the GPS system for you to reach the goal destination. So what are the massive action plan? And writing down the massive action plan is the second phase of this exercise. And writing that is also going to be relatively easy. But we spoke about execution gap, right? So that execution gap comes only when you are trying to execute the massive action plan. Only when you are trying to materialize that massive action plan. When you are trying to put that massive action plan onto the floor, then things happen very badly. Negative attitude comes to your mind. People say that the goals are not going to work out. You watch some news and you watch some circumstances and happenings which clearly mention you that this is not going to happen in your life. And you get demoralized pretty easily. And some people will call your goal as a dormant goal, very ineffective goal. And during those occasions, my dear friend, when you are put into the test and when you are tormented, I want you to use a couple of psychological techniques for putting you back onto the track. Technique number 1. When you are feeling so negative about the goal, when people are trying to mesmerize you on a wrong way, rub on the wrong side of your positive psychology, when you lose your positive psychology, when you lose your aspiration, when you lose the DNA of the force for accomplishing the goal, at that point of time, I want you to ask these 3 questions that you are seeing on the slide right now. Look at the first question. Why am I thinking that thought? Second question. Where is it taking me? The third question. Does it help me feel confident towards accomplishing this goal? Ask these 3 questions whenever you are put into some test period, whenever you are put into some negativity. Ask these 3 questions. The first question conveys you plenty of message. Who asked you to think that thought? Who persuaded you to think that thought? If it was you who has persuaded your own self to think that thought, then why are you doing it? What is the purpose behind it? What is the motive for that question? What is the motive of your action? Why are you thinking that thought? And the second question says, where is it taking you? This thought, when I think, when I give some energy into the thought, where is it taking me to? Where am I traveling in that pursuit? My mental intermediate goal is this. And when I am taking massive action plan towards that, and if I get this thinking, where is this thinking taking me? And is that really necessary now? Deviating your mind's paradigms. Thought replacement. Simple logic. Charles Jung, the famous psychologist, says it takes separate guts and separate agility for a person to talk to himself when the person is deviated from the goal and when the person is deviated from the most important aspiration the person is traveling towards. So ask this simple question. Why am I thinking this thought and where is it taking me? And the third question gives you enormous boost. Does it help me feel confident towards my goal? Is this particular thought or the place where it is taking me to, are they really making me feel confident towards accomplishing my goal? If the answer is no, then skip it. Chuck it. Why do you have that in your mind temple? That's my simple question. So it's basically an ordinary form of self-control that you are taking by asking these three questions. And these three questions, by virtue of asking these three within yourselves, you are basically emphasizing and exercising a form of self-control. And that itself will give you lots and lots of guiding force. So this is the number one psychological technique I give you whenever you are deviated from the goal, asking these three questions. The second psychological technique I would like to hand you here, whenever you are deviated from the goal and when you feel so bad and when you are feeling so down that you are not able to get up to forge on towards a goal, use this technique. There are 7 orientation principles, and I would like to give those 7 orientation principles to you. Just have a look at the slide. You will understand the 7 orientation principles. The first orientation principle is future orientation. The second one is goal orientation. The third one is excellence orientation. The fourth one is result orientation. The fifth one is solution orientation. The sixth one is growth orientation. And the seventh one is action orientation. Whenever you are feeling so troubled during the pursuit of the goal, and if you feel deep down inside that you will not be able to complete this goal, I want you to see which orientation can be immediately put into practice for getting out of that mindset. Solution orientation, growth orientation, action orientation, future orientation. Which principle you are going to apply for taking yourself out of that negative rut that has formed around you. And these 7 orientation principles are very powerful. And for each orientation principle, I have got 3 questions to be asked within yourself. So this particular portion of the video is going to be very important for you because this 7 orientation principles are going to act as scalpels to perform internal emotional surgery as a plastic surgeon will do on a physical body. So you yourself are a plastic surgeon, just like it is mentioned in the book called as The Power of Psycho-Cybernetics, written by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Every single person has got his or her own responsibility of performing an emotional surgery using the scalpels, knives, and the instructive instruments for performing plenty of medicated things. These 7 principles, orientation principles, are going to be acting as your biggest represents that you immediately think that I'm always going to think about the future. No matter what happens right now, I'm not worried about the current doomed situation. I would like to focus only on the future. Where am I going to reach? And towards reaching that place, what kind of avenues I need to think. And I would like to think only about that, nothing else. This is called as future orientation thinking. Second one is goal orientation thinking. Reminding about the goal. This is what is my goal. This is my travel map. This is the massive action plan I'm supposed to take, and this is going to be the most important ingredient right now for me. And when I'm not thinking about this, how am I going to accomplish it? So reminding about the goal again and again and again, no matter what happens around you. This is called as goal orientation. Excellence orientation is the third one, which reminds to you about the level of benefit and the level of reputation, the level of satisfaction, and most importantly, the level of fulfillment you are going to get after completing that goal. When you are put into lots of negativity, you think about the benefits you get out of the accomplishment of the goal, the benefit you get out of finishing this particular task and taking this massive action plan. And you redirect your thinking towards the benefit you are going to get because of the steps you are going to take for accomplishing the goal. What am I going to get after completing this goal? Let me focus on only that. The excellence I am going to reap out of accomplishing this goal. That's what is more important for me. So thinking about that is called as excellence orientation. Result orientation is focused upon only the result. The entire regime we are living in is counting only the results. When a manager gives a project to the subordinate, he is worried about the result from the subordinate. When a teacher is really teaching the student and giving the guide values to the student's life, the teacher is worried about the result the student is going to get in the academics. A sports coach, when he is coaching his own sport aspirant, he is worried about the result that the sports aspirant is going to transpire when the game is on. Likewise, when you think about the result, you will not naturally demotivated by the current circumstances. Result orientation is very powerful. All the soldiers have that result orientation on the battlefield. When they load up their weapons, they are result oriented. The result is take complete control over the area. So result orientation is another thinking that will take you out of all the negativity. Solution oriented. As the statement goes, everything happens for a reason and it serves me. You see in that picture, right? So everything happens for a reason and it serves me. I don't care about the problem and the nature of the problem, the size and shape of the problem, but I know that this particular thing is happening for a reason and it serves me. That's called a solution orientation. Growth orientation is even more powerful and very spiritual in nature. I'm going to grow because of this. When I am weak, God has shown up in front of me and He has told me, you need a little growth. So take this problem here. Solve this problem and you will get growth. So I would like to take this opportunity, I would like to take this negativity as a growth avenue, and I would like to grow because of this. So I take this as a single platform for growing myself. So the pursuit of goal becomes very smooth when you follow growth orientation. Final one is action orientation. Put into action. Get into action. Mission in action. That's it. I don't want to sit in a corner and cry. I don't want to settle myself down. I just want to be action oriented. I would like to keep myself engaged. I would like to ensure that my sweat will always wipe down my tears. So I would like to put into action. I don't want to swivel myself into this negativity and get the web all over my body and mind, and I don't let that arrest me. I would like to break the shackles and I would like to the action. This is called as action orientation. So all these 7 principles will definitely take you. I mean, remember those 3 questions and the 7 principles. So during the progress of your goal accomplishment and taking the steps towards accomplishing the goals, if you have got some negativity, if you have got some troubles are always on the way, right? So troubles are always on the way. And when you are having the troubles, I wanted to use these 2 psychological techniques, 3 massive questions and these 7 orientation principles to keep yourself going and keep yourself always on the track.